Peace be upon you, brothers and sisters. This is Said Mirza from willnotreason.com, and this is lesson number 2 of my Arabic calligraphy series, where I am, God willing, going to be taking you from not knowing how to write the Arabic alphabet to creating these two sentences in Arabic, these two beautiful works of art. In my first video, if you haven't, please take a look at that. I've covered the tools and materials that you need to get started, and the reason you need to spend a little bit of money to get this started is because, first, it'll give you an impetus to keep going because you spend some money on it, and second, if you start out with the best tools for the job, then you're more likely to succeed. So this is a calligraphy pen, a speedball, and we're gonna be working with the LC3 nib of this pen, and I'm also gonna be using an India ink. So I wanted to jump straight into the first alphabet, which is Alif, and this is page 2 of this PDF. You can download this PDF and print it out for use free of charge. If you go on my lesson 1, you'll find the link in the drop down box below. So let's get started here. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to measure out the top and bottom of a letter, because that gives me a little bit of perspective what I'm working with. So if you notice here, this starts out and it goes up to about 1.5 or 1.6, so 1.6 centimeters. Now I know a lot of calligraphers, they prefer using these diamond points to figure out the length of the letters, the dimensions, but I don't want to use that, because as we go and progress and start writing out words, and this gets cumbersome, it's easier just to draw a grid with measurements, and then just multiply that grid or divide that grid by to measure out the nib size. It'll make more sense as we go through it. So just know we're starting with the LC3 nib on the speedball ink pens, and we're gonna be using 1.6 centimeters for the letter measurement for this Alif. Okay, so here is the paper we're using, and this is a watercolor paper. It's not the standard A4 paper, printer paper. Like I said, you can get away with that, but you're better off just getting this. So here we get, just trying to make a straight line here. So this is the bottom, and for the top we have something like, so this is 1.6. And then we just make another straight line here, or at least try to make a straight line. Okay, here you go. That's about good enough. Okay, so this gives us something to work with, and now I have my ink here. I'm gonna dip the nib in there. This is all covered in lesson 1, and we're holding it like basically like a pen. Let's see. Okay, and you see how I'm holding it at 45-degree angle? That's what you want to get to. We're gonna make the top part, and then we're gonna come down. And as we're coming down, we're gonna be twisting the nib a little bit to get that pointy effect. Let's try this again. So that's Alif. Pretty straightforward. It's all practice. You just keep trying. There's 2 ways of writing Alif. This is how I prefer it. I think it looks better, but sometimes they have also noticed them doing it this way. And then they come out the Alif like this. They get that nice hook there. Both ways are valid. Let's see. So this was the Alif that we just draw. It was this guy here, and there's different variations of that, so you want to practice that. I'll just go over some of them just to kind of show you how the strokes are made, and then you can, you know, work on your own pace. And if you have any questions, you are free to reach out. Let's do this one. So this is sort of the ending alif that, you know, if you join it with a letter, how that would be. Okay, let's do la. La has a lot of different variations, and I think this is one worth pursuing. Okay, look at this one. So we start out like an alif, and as we come down, we're gonna start twisting, turning. So if it starts out like an alif, okay? So coming down, we start bending it. And just notice how I'm using the nib, okay? Because this is the trick with it. You can turn the nib sideways to give the pointy end a chance to come out, or you can turn it on the thicker side to give it the. So that's lam, alif, la, which is this one here. Just trying to make sure you can see. Okay, yeah. Next we're gonna be trying this one. This one is tricky. Like I said, it's all practice. You keep trying it, you will get good at it. I do encourage you to do this every day, at least half an hour, sit down and do it. You know, I find it pretty relaxing. So that's another way of writing la. You know, where you know, you have the Ayatul Kursi, la ilaha illa huwa, no God but God. So that's the la they would use there. And again, with the variations on these, you know, they it's not really the variations. Obviously, when you just get started doing this, you're not gonna, you know, could do consistently the same thing, and that's fine, you know. But over time, you should have that consistency, and it's really about the consistency. You want to maintain that consistency. That's what it gives the beauty of it. You don't have to really follow a particular style. Like I said, I draw Alif a little bit different, and I'm sure someone would say, no, that's not the correct way or the traditional way or whatever, but I've seen it being drawn that way, and I kind of like it that way. And let's do another one here. Let's do this guy here. You see how he's given us markings. If you know anything about Arabic numbers, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's kind of showing you what you need to do. But you have to kind of keep the nib lubricated and flowing, so it's important. So for me, I prefer doing it this way, because if you're coming up like this, you really are fighting with the nib. You see how it's not really scraping? But versus if you just come down from here, then you're not fighting with the nib. It's a lot smoother. So, you know, it really depends on you know, what you're trying to do, and also what you're comfortable with, and what the pen is kind of working with. You know, if you feel the pen is struggling or it's scraping, that means you need to change it up, what you're doing. So yeah, I'm not getting really good traction here. Is because the nib's starting to get, like I said, you know, you have to clean the nib after a couple of strokes, otherwise it gets difficult to work with. So that's why it's doing that. So let's try it again. Okay, this time I'm gonna dip it again and kind of shake off the excess a little bit. You can also kind of point it here and get the excess out. And again, we're gonna start 45-degree angle. We're just coming straight down. and then we're going like this, and over time you'll know how much ink you need or when you need to refill. You see already there's too much ink here, so I'm not gonna do any more on that side. Okay, now you come like this, and we're just making, so this is the Alif part that joins. There you go. See, now this one could be better if you look at how he's done it. So let's try it again. A little bit more sharper here. I think it needs more curve, but we're getting there. So like I said, you have to keep practicing and getting better at it, and you know, over time you will. And I don't know if we will ever gain mastery over this, but we can get pretty close to mastery. We can get close to perfection. And yeah, so this is the second page. Now let's look at page number 3, and this is the ba. If you can draw ba, you can draw ta and tha, because the ba and the tha and the tha, they all have just the dots difference, versus the letter shape is the same. And what we're gonna do with this is what we did last time. We're gonna first measure it out to see where we want to be. So for this one, you're at about 0.5, 0.6, 0.7 centimeters, and you're gonna measure this part out too, 0.7, and then this is 1.5. So these are the dimensions, 0.7 and 1.5. Okay, so we get to 0.7, and 1.5 is about that's 1.5. So that's sort of the dimensions we're working with. The ba will start here, go down here, and we're going to be starting here. We're going to touch this bottom line here, and we go back up. So let's try this. Again, now this is more of a, even a more extreme angle than 45, and you just have to play around with that to see where you want to go. And apparently he's putting the dot right underneath it here. That's why we needed the space. And so, you know, even if you're really good at it, you still have to warm up a little bit before you can start. And God willing, when we get to that point where we start doing the actual calligraphy, you know, what we're doing, I'll show you some tips and tricks. See, this one is better. So that's the basic ba shape, and we're gonna be working on ba and a bunch of other letters here in a bit. I guess in the next video we're gonna look at kaf as well. But I think this is enough to get you to start working on this and seeing how far you can go. And yeah, God willing, we'll meet up in the next video.